Well, hello again, YouTube. It's Petey. Today is the 15th of February, and my wife, Gomti, took us to see.
Becoming Led Zeppelin.
We saw the Led Zeppelin biography pic. So, Becoming Led Zeppelin starts out with them as children, basically, and it tells their story with their families, their personal home lives, their introduction to music, developing to when they come to form the band. Um, they shot interviews with the three surviving members in 2018. So it's all fresh. None of the material in Becoming Led Zeppelin that I feel like it was rehashed or like they didn't have Keith Moon up there telling the story that we've all heard before. So that was refreshing to see that it was all fresh, including a never before seen interview with Bonzo. It was audio only,
Never heard yet.
and the the photographs and the footage and everything, the way that it was put together was at that pedigree that you expect from Zeppelin. So this is an outstanding rock and roll movie, and they really went pretty deep and pretty hard on it. It's not a concert movie, meaning they don't have a real lot of footage of the band playing live, but what is there is phenomenal. It's some great appearances, great performances by the band. Um, you know, in the past, from like 80 on to more recently, it seems to me like it's all about Plant and Page, especially like the movie Song Remains the Same. Me coming up as a kid from seventh grade till I turned 21, it was all Pink Floyd. In this period of time, VCRs, everyone had a VCR, and teenagers were starting to start their own collections of VHS tapes, movies, and concert films. So films like the animated heavy metal, midnight movie type things, Pink Floyd, The Wall, Pompeii, Pink Floyd, and then the king of them all seemed to be Song Remains the Same, which is the Led Zeppelin. It's the concert movie, which was a conglomerate of performances all edited together in a massive document. And it's phenomenal. It's really good. The Song Remains the Same is like, it's great. My only complaint about that is it's like Jimmy Page, Plant, Plant. Oh, bottom, Page, Plant. John Paul Jones, Plant. It's not really, the pie isn't evenly distributed. Jimmy Page was one of the studio pioneers that did multi-tracking, and he had these like guitar soundscapes where he multi-tracked guitar tracks. Now, of course, the Beatles were the first people to use the studio as an instrument, but Page was the first guy to do that extensively with guitars, and he did a real good job. So in towards the middle, there's a performance of a song called "What Is and What Shall Never Be," and it's a different sounding guitar part. Of course, maybe this was developed before maybe this was filmed before they recorded it. Even the vocals are a little different. The delivery is so. Seeing this like phenomenal version of this great FM radio staple, like we all know that song, but here's this version that's just a little bit different. And normally I don't like when the music is different, but this was cool. It sounded even better the way what the thing that Page did differently. I was just digging it. And Plant's vocals were a little different. There's footage from Denmark or Sweden, is it, where the kids are sitting around and it's like the introduction of the band. And man, seeing that in the theater with the decent sound, it really hit home. It was like a moment for me. I was just like, oh my goodness, like they really were unbelievable. And so that was awesome. And then on the outro of it, they play over the credits. There's live version of Eddie Cochran. Come on, everybody.
It's Eddie Cochran's song.
Yeah. Or
Something else.
Yeah, something else.
And it's Plant, though. It's them. They recorded it, I think, in the 1969.
Yeah. And their version was great. And I had never heard that. So everything in the movie was news to me. They had an interview with Bonham, which I never heard John Bonham. There's pictures of all of them, including plenty of pictures of Bonham and their wives and them when they were kids, getting their first instrument, telling the whole story, showing their parents, learning about their parents and their upbringing and how they first started to work in the music business, including, and I was aware that Jimmy Page wasn't the only session guy, but I didn't know that Plant was like homeless or living in his car or something. So it was really, it was on that pedigree, that level of quality that you'd expect from a British band like Led Zeppelin. Really well done. The graphics and the video and the editing were just phenomenal. My only complaints were the theater stuff because, of course, it's not as loud as it should be. When you're in there, you get there and it's like you got to sit through a half hour of previews, watch the squirrel chasing the nut for Ice Age Part 19. And there was 10 people in the theater, including us. I at one point I was coming back from a popcorn refill and I went into the wrong theater and some guy was screaming F on the screen and I turned around and looked, there was nobody in there. So it was really some touching stuff in there about like how they were, how Bonzo really related to the other members of the band, how they, because it always seemed to me like they weren't tight at all, but they all come off really intelligent and able to tell us the stories like really well. Plant was great in it. Page was great in it, and it seemed like they gave John Paul Jones a little bit more bigger slice of the pie because previously it seems like it's like, who is that guy? They don't really focus on him. So, me as a kid, going into the cover band thing, we were always playing Zeppelin songs, and it was always like might be a little more challenging, the music, and especially for the singer, because they were always singing flat. So my relationship with Led Zeppelin was like, they weren't my favorite band, to say the least, but you kind of can't avoid them, and they're so good. Ended up becoming a fan. The movie Song Remains the Same really was responsible for a lot of that. It's so well done. And like we've seen this Kashmir, this local cover band, a bunch of times, and they're really good. So I have become a massive Zeppelin fan. My wife was more into like Brit synth pop. She graduated in '89, but then my daughter went through she went through the Beatles. Her next thing was Zepp. So she had Jimmy Page posters, and that was when my wife really became a massive Led Zeppelin fan. So it was Gomti's thing getting these tickets, and I'm really glad we did see it in the theater because there were some moments that were theater moments. That the Denmark footage.
She got this, so that was in the car all the time.
They talked about the recording of Whole Lot of Love. There's this freak out. And hearing that with the panning, with all the effects and the theremin, very cool. So if you're a Zeppelin fan or not, this is one of the best, if not the best, rock and roll concert movie or
Documentary.
Band biography, biopic that you'll ever see. It does end right before Zeppelin 3. I got sick. My schedule was flip-flopped. It smelled strongly of mildew and mold in the whole theater. It was worse in the hallways. The theater we were in wasn't as bad, but and I do not like going to the movies. There are people that love it. I can't stand going to the theater. For one, I have horrific back pain, so I'm never comfortable. I'm suffering, and an hour into it, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't take this. And I'll have to get up and go lean up against the wall in the hallway, you know. An usher came up and saw me doing that, and thank goodness he didn't say anything, because I would have. There was 10 people in the theater.
standing here
You're going
for
to
a
get mad at
reason.
me because I have a bad back and I'm leaning on the thing. Anyway, the movie it couldn't have been any better. I got really nauseous at one point, and like I said, I had to stand up. So I started thinking like, oh my goodness, it seems like I've been in this theater for like 2.5 hours. And that's exactly how long it was. And then next thing you know, the movie ended. But I was thinking they were going to go through all the way till about, we lost John in 1980, I think was when Bonham died. But the movie doesn't go that far. So maybe there'll be another one that they do being Led Zeppelin. And I would welcome it and I would see it. I'll tell you, definitely going to want to add this one to your collection if you collect this type of stuff. It's an awesome, awesome, awesome rock biopic. If you're a Led Zeppelin fan or you like going to the movies, I would maybe consider finding out who has the good audio version of it, because they have the AMC movie commercials. Hollywood's magic is more magical when we turn our cell phones off. That guy was so loud. They got a picture of the world, and there's like unicorns floating off of it, lasers. It's flying in with the Hollywood sign on the earth, and it's like it's metered and mastered out. It's like right at the red level of the meter, like, ready to burst the mixing board. They've got all the limiters turned up to 10. And it's just shaking. And then here's your Zeppelin. And I got a sidetrack here. In 2012, my daughter, Gomti got 2 tickets for us, for me and Dean. They had this thing called Celebration Day. It was an official Led Zeppelin reunion. I think it was Madison Square Garden, or was it the normal dome? Zeppelin performed. I believe they had Bonham's son was playing drums. It was like they're really they only had a couple of Led Zeppelin reunions. Live Aid was one, and it wasn't good. Celebration Day was the good one. That was when they did it right. And so this was being broadcast, simulcast to theaters. So you could get this theater ticket, you could go sit in the theater and watch the Led Zeppelin concert live. So we go to this thing, and there's it wasn't 10 people, it was like maybe 40. And it's same thing. The previews come on and everything, and the audio is cranking and it's real bassy. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to be great. Then the Zeppelin comes on and there's no audio. It's just dead silent. So people are like, what? Hey, turn the sound, and then people are getting up and leaving. So this is like 4 or 5 minutes in, I said to my daughter, I'm gonna go say something. I go down there and I'm like, to the popcorn guy, there's nobody's at the ticket booth. It's just the only person out there is the popcorn guy. So I'm like, hey, this, Theater 4, Led Zeppelin, there's no sound. And I go, he goes, okay, I'll take care of it. I go back in, go out again. Same thing. Come back. I'm waiting. I go out again for a third time. And now there's like hardly anybody left. It's like now there's 10 people in the theater, counting me and my daughter. I go out and they're having a meeting now. So there's like a manager with a semicircle of high school age kids surrounding him. So I go up there and I'm like, it's the third time I've complained. There's no sound on the Zeppelin simulcast. I'm like, it's Led Zeppelin. It's a concert movie that we paid for. There is no sound. Like, Pete, everyone walked out. I complain. This is the third time I complained. They're like, okay. So then when they turned it up, they were like, boy, that guy was he was a bit uppity. Let's turn it up to 2 or 1.5. So it was like, seriously? You could hear the Ice Age 19, the squirrel chasing the nut. The subwoofer from the Disney movie was louder than John Paul Jones' bass. So you may want to splurge, find out if you can. Is it louder if you go to the IMAX? Because this was IMAX. I'm glad we didn't go to IMAX. I got like unbelievably stomach sick. I got totally nauseous. And it may have been because I put more popcorn oil. I went out and oiled it up and thought, oh, yeah. And I kept shaking it and adding more. So I got so unbelievably sick. And then they're doing the whole lot of love freak out. And my stomach is like making those noises too. And I was just, oh, Calgon, take me away. Was I moaning in the car on the way home?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've been in the car with you for 2 days in a row, and I think you've been, both days.
I brought this.
Well, maybe not yesterday. Today, yeah.
I got this at the for $2. These are like $25. I got this for $2. And we brought this in the car, and I was doing karaoke.
Oh my God. You were trying to hook it up to the car. But
Yeah.
just...
You need So yeah, I was doing Yeah, I was doing my Zeppelin karaoke and entertaining myself.
Yeah, entertaining yourself.
Oh. There we go. So definitely becoming Led Zeppelin. Yeah. Check that out. If you're a Zeppelin freak, you're going to want to pick it up for your collection. And if you're like me and you, I mean, I hate to discourage you from going to the theater, but there's like 2 segments in it that being in the theater are going to give you that wow factor. And one of them is Denmark or Copenhagen. The other one, I had never seen that footage or performance before. What is and what shall never be. Of course, Page does a million guitar tricks in the studio. He was one of the first guys to really do that besides the Beatles. He was the first guy to do it with guitars. And so this version of what is and shall never be, the way he plays the guitar is different. Normally, I don't like stuff like that. This, I was like, oh man, I wish he would have played it like that on the album. And Plant was singing it differently. So, like I was getting at, and that was a thrill to see a different version of that song because I really like that tune. That's the thing about Zeppelin. They've got these songs that they're they're like really good songs. You know, I mean, you couldn't touch them. They were such a great band, so much fun to listen to. So, is it theater worthy? Like, I gotta tell you, if you can wait and watch it at home, you're gonna miss out on that big screen thrill that I had a couple moments at Denmark was just really blew me away. Like I laughed out loud a few times. I like got off on it. But was it worth the horrible discomfort, the nausea and the back pain and being cramped in there and everything? I suppose it was. It was cool that we got to go to the theater. I would have liked for them to turn up audio a little more. And you can't really listen to me on that because I can't stand going to the movie theater. So you should probably just go.
Just go.
If you can afford it, it's it's a really well made, and I had never heard any of the stuff in it. It wasn't like this was rehashed, commonly known stuff about Zeppelin. So pretty cool stuff. You guys, I always like to say try and stay warm. It's really cold here in Chicago.
Gonna
More
get colder.
importantly, yeah, it is. And then it's going to get warmer. Hug your pets and peace.